وخير الخلق قدوتنا تعال وزر وشاركنا وقم بالخير سابقنا لقانا في ابن تيمية وخير الخلق قدوتنا لقانا في ابن تيمية وخير الخلق قدوتنا لقانا في ابن تيمية وخير الخلق قدوتنا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اهتدى بهداهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. We left off talking about the subcategories of tahara, which were either 3 or 4 based on what we mentioned in the class before the last one. And under tahara, we reached the substance used for tahara, which is either water for wudu and ghusl or soil for tayammum. We left off mentioning some masail, which means some issues pertaining to tayammum. And we'll continue with the essential masail pertaining to tayammum, which are essential, contemporary, and reoccurring. One of the masail that's mentioned is, can one perform tayammum to spare the salah's timing if there's only a few minutes for salah? Visualize the mas'ala. Sunrise today was around 7:40. Someone woke up 7:35. They need to do either ghusl or wudu. If they do either of that, they'll miss the timing of the salah. Should they just do a quick tayammum and perform the salah to catch its proper timing, or must they do a full ghusl and wudu, which will end up causing them to miss the timing of the salah? There's 2 opinions on this matter. The first opinion is you can perform tayammum if you fear the timing of the salah will be missed. That's according to the madhab of Malikiyya, some of the Hanafiyya, and one of the 2 opinions of the Hanabila. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala actually adopted this opinion, and that is that one can do tayammum to spare the timing of the salah. The second opinion is that you must perform wudu or ghusl, even if you're going to miss the timing of the salah. This is the opinion of the overwhelming majority of the ulama from the Hanafiyya, Shafi'iyya, and Hanabila, and a second opinion by the Malikiyya. Sababul khilaf. What's the reason for the dispute in this matter? The reason is, what's more essential for salah? What's given precedent? Is tahara given precedent over the timing of the salah? Or is the timing of the salah more essential? The first opinion said the timing of the salah is given precedent over tahara and wudu and ghusl for salah. The second opinion said that tahara is given precedent over the timing of the salah. The first group who allowed tayammum to avoid missing the timing of the salah gave some rationales, which are like proofs or points. This is the group, the first opinion is the group that said if one is about to miss the salah, he can do tayammum to avoid missing the salah if his wudu or ghusl will cause him to miss the salah. First of all, they said, the one who's going to miss the salah is similar to an ill person who performs tayammum. They said an ill person does not delay salah to recover. He prays sitting, he prays laying down, whatever status he's able to with tayammum to preserve the timing of the salah. They said Sharia could have ordered him to delay his salah until he recovers. And by doing that, he will be missing the timing of the salah. But he was ordered to perform the salah in whatever status he's able to, including tayammum, to avoid missing the timing of the salah, and they said the same applies here. One shouldn't miss the salah for wudu. Rather, he should do a quick tayammum to avoid missing the timing of the salah. They compared one about to miss salah due to wudu or ghusl to one who's ill. One who's ill prays on whatever status he's on in the timing of the salah, and they said the same should apply to one who's about to miss the salah due to him performing wudu. Number two, they compared it to one who's in fear as well. They said the salah of those in fear is conducted in many various ways, dependent on the circumstance of whoever's in fear. Those in fear perform that special salah, whichever way they're able to, and that's so that they don't miss the timing of the salah. Fear is destined to go away, yet one wasn't ordered to wait for fear to go away or wait to reach a safe destination. He prays in any of the various forms of Salatul Khawf as he's able to avoid missing the timing of the salah. And they said likewise here, one shouldn't miss salah for wudu. He can do tayammum and make salah on time. They have a third rationale or reason. They said among the benefits and goals of legislating tayammum is actually to preserve the timing of the salah. How and why? An individual who makes tayammum because he has no water will most certainly after that find water. He may find it later on in his journey or when he's relieved of his circumstance where he has no water available near him. He could have been ordered to wait to reach water and delay the salah, but rather he was ordered to perform salah on time with tayammum and not wait to reach water in the future. They said likewise the same applies here. One who's about to miss the salah for wudu should do tayammum and spare the salah's time. That's the first opinion in their rationales. The second opinion, what did they say? They said if one wakes up or remembers salah and he needs to do ghusl or wudu, he needs to do them even if he'll miss the timing of the salah, because tayammum is not sufficient for him in such circumstance. Their proof is the verse on tayammum in the Quran. فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. The verse says tayammum is for one who's ill, cannot find water. This person who woke up minutes before salah or remembered salah at the very end, last of its timing, they said he has water and he doesn't fall under any of the tayammum exemptions. He has no excuse. He has water. He's not ill. There's no harm. None of the valid excuses for tayammum apply to him. And that actually right there is the most solid, clearest proof on this matter. Second of all, they said, or they used the ahadith requiring tahara, purification for wudu. They said, لا يقبل الله صلاة أحدكم إذا أحدث حتى يتوضأ. In Sahih al-Bukhari, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Allah does not accept the prayer of any of you who made a hadath, who voided his wudu until they perform wudu. In another narration, Sahih Muslim, لا تقبل صلاة بغير طهور. No salah is accepted without tuhur, which is wudu or ghusl. They used these general ahadith stating that salah must have purification. Tahara is a prerequisite to salah, and salah without it is not acceptable. And it must be with water when water is available, and there's no excuse, even if the timing lapsed. Al-Rajih, which is the fuqaha terminology meaning the selected or correct opinion. Al-Rajih here is that one should not do tayammum for fear of missing the timing of the salah. Why? There's reason for selecting this opinion. Because the proofs are strong that wudu must be done when there is water and while one is able to. There's clear, number two, there's clear exemptions for tayammum in situations of illness or lack of water, for example. But there's no clear exemption that we know of for one to do tayammum in order to avoid missing the salah. Ibn al-Mundhir, third point, Ibn al-Mundhir said there's an ijma' that one cannot make tayammum for Salatul Jum'ah if water is available in order to avoid missing Salatul Jum'ah. A fourth point, in Sunan al-Nasa'i, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if one of you forgets salah or sleeps and misses it, he should pray it when he remembers it. The hadith is narrated in different wording and different narrations throughout the Sunan, and a portion of it is actually in Sahih Muslim. When is the timing of salah for someone who forgets the salah or slept throughout it if they're not negligent or habitual? That individual has his own special timing for that salah. The timing for that person who made the random, unintentional, unhabitual mistake is when he remembers it or he wakes up. Let him pray it when he remembers it. That individual woke up late, 5 minutes before the salah. He needs to do ghusl, if he needs that, or do wudu. The salah timing for them is different due to his special circumstance and situation. He falls under an exemption. There's an exceptional excuse circumstance for him. The time he remembered or woke up becomes the timing of that salah for him, unlike a person in a normal circumstance. And of course, part of the salah is wudu, so he needs to do the wudu before the salah. He or she doesn't need to rush to do tayammum to catch the timing of a normal person's salah. They can go make wudu or shower, then make salah, even if the regular timing is missed, because his timing for that salah falls under an exceptional circumstance. And let me repeat, that's for someone who's not negligent or habitual. He makes wudu or takes a shower, even if the salah timing will be missed, and then proceeds to the salah. Now let me note for talabat al-ilm here some important note. We went over many issues which are called masail. Some were short, some were longer. Last week, for example, we took the mas'ala if one is feet away from water but is unable to reach that water due to their health situation. We mentioned who makes a decision pertaining to one's level of illness, if they're able to do tayammum or not. We mentioned the longer mas'ala on what level of illness permits one to do tayammum. Today, we took this mas'ala here, making tayammum to avoid missing the timing of the salah. In an issue like these, one can take it at a beginner's level. How? Okay, this is the correct opinion. This is al-rajih. This is the selected opinion. He takes the opinion that one must do wudu or ghusl for salah and cannot miss it, or replace that ghusl in wudu by tayammum, just in order to avoid missing the salah. That's just taking that conclusion there. That's a beginner, or actually a normal Muslim learning the basics. A better student of ilm at an intermediate level would take the different views, or take the selected opinion and the proofs under it, or the rationales to support it. A more advanced talib ilm will take the matan, then the opinions, the various opinions, the reasons for dispute, the proofs, the rebuttals, and more. We want to encompass various levels, and you select the level you want to go by. The next mas'ala. Someone's on a journey and they have some water. If they perform wudu, they will not, or most likely, they will not have water to drink for the duration of the journey. Or a more contemporary scenario. They cut the water off in the local city. You have bottled water you can use for wudu or ghusl in your house. But that water may be needed to drink and cook with. If one may die or cause himself harm if he makes wudu because he will not have enough to drink, then he must save it for wudu. He must save that water for wudu. And if he causes himself harm by doing ghusl or wudu, knowing that he will need it to drink, then he has committed a prohibited act. And by ijma', by consensus, the ijma' is related by Ibn al-Mundhir and Ibn Hubayra and Ibn Hajar, that in such a scenario where the water is needed, or most likely will be needed for drinking, one should save that water for drinking and do tayammum instead of using it for wudu or ghusl. Another mas'ala. Must tayammum be of soil? Ibn al-Mundhir and Ibn Hazm and Ibn Abd al-Barr and Ibn Rushd and Al-Qurtubi and Ibn Taymiyyah and others all said there's an ijma' on the permissibility of using soil that has dust to it for tayammum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. They said the most common, popular meaning of sa'id in the verse that's mentioned pertaining to tayammum is soil. And actually some ahadith specifically mention soil. Some. وَجُعِلَتْ تُرْبَتُهَا لَنَا طَهُورًا إِذَا لَمْ نَجِدِ الْمَاءِ. So soil is by ijma' can be used. But what about tayammum with other than soil? And there's three different opinions on this matter. Tayammum is permissible from everything of the face of this earth, like dirt, soil, rocks, and matters of similar nature. This is the opinion of the madhab of the Ahnaf, the Malikiyah, and one of the opinions of the Hanabila. And of the ulama who chose this is Ibn Taymiyyah and Al-Tabari and Ibn Hazm and Ata and Al-Awza'i and Al-Thawri. They said sa'idan tayyiba in the verse. Sa'idan means whatever is of the natural surface of this earth. Sa'idan tayyiban in the verse means whatever is of the natural surface of this earth. And they used some ahadith pertaining to tayammum where the term soil was not specifically mentioned for use. The second opinion is that tayammum must be with soil. And it has to be soil where the dirt will attach to one's hand, will stick on one's hand. And this is the opinion of Abu Yusuf from the Madhab al-Ahnaf, some of the Malikiyah, some of the Shafi'iyah, and some of the Hanabila. And of the ulama who chose this is Dawood al-Zahiri and Ibn al-Mundhir and Ibn Hajar. And they said sa'idan tayyiban, the verse, the term sa'id in the verse means soil. And tayyib, tayyiba, is a description of sa'id, and it's soil, only soil, where plants grow. And that's the only type that they said is permissible for tayammum. They also said فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ مِنْ التَّبْعِيضِيَّةِ. Something from sa'id, they said, must touch the hands when you hit the earth, and it must touch the face and the hands when you wipe them. And they said that's only possible with dirt. They also mentioned some ahadith and tayammum. Some of them specifically use soil, as we said. The third opinion is some Hanafiya and some Hanabila said tayammum is only of soil and sand. Those two only. This specific issue would take at least 4 classes with no exaggeration, if not more, to mention the proof and analyze them and the rebuttals and the back and forth between the ulama. But in summary, al-rajih, the opinion selected, is that everything natural of the surface face of this earth, similar to soil, is permissible, like sand, dirt, rocks, and those that are similar to that. Why? Because sa'id in the verse, فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا, the substance mentioned in the verse, sa'id, according to the Arabic linguistics, is not only soil. It includes soil, rocks, and other similar natural elements of the earth. Al-Awza'i rahimahullah said, Al-Ramlu min al-Sa'id. Al-Awza'i said sand is from the soil. In fact, today it's scientifically described and known that sand is a type of soil. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that it was common when they traveled, that they went through areas of sand, sometimes of rocks, sometimes of soil. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't specify one over the other. In fact, the Sahaba in the expedition of Tabuk, the expedition of Al-Usra, they traveled through a desert area. And I've traveled that same area from Medina to Tabuk in a car. You will not see nothing in sight but sand. They didn't carry with them soil, knowing that their travel is going to be in a desert. And the water that they had was scarce. And they did tayammum. And their tayammum would have been in sand, which is not specifically soil, which shows that it doesn't necessarily have to be in soil. The third proof is the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim. وَجُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا وَأَيُّمَا رَجُلٍ مِّنْ أُمَّتِ أَدْرَكَتْهُ الصَّلَاةِ فَلْيُصَلِّ. Earth has been made for me and my followers a place for praying and a thing to perform tayammum. They said earth here in the hadith includes soil and other than soil. And the rule of usul is أن تخصيص بعض أنواع العام بالذكر لا يقتضي تخصيصه وإن كان يدل على شرفه. The rule in usul is that a hadith like that specify, some of them specify soil, doesn't mean it's only specifically soil, even though specifying soil gives it priority. Meaning it includes soil, rocks, sand, but since soil is specified, it's given preference and priority. But it's not only soil, it's other matters of the natural elements of the earth as we mentioned. Okay, the next mas'ala. Let's assume someone is in the hospital. They need to do tayammum. They couldn't and didn't take with them a bag of soil. Nobody could bring it to them. They didn't have a rock or matters of similar nature to do tayammum. It's time for salah. They can't get up due to their illness, or they're attached, for example, to medical equipment. If the wall is from the wall where they're at and they're able to reach it, and it's from the nature of this earth, according to Malikiyya and Hanafiyya, one can do tayammum off that wall. And what we mean is many wouldn't know this, and many haven't seen this because they no longer build like this anymore. When I went to Medina in the late 70s, there was masajid there in some houses that the walls are made from mud. You can clearly see they were made of blocks of mud. Those types of walls, one can do tayammum off them. But walls of modern construction, not only are they made of various substances, but they're also covered with paint. So assume the present day wall was made of some natural element or substance that we mentioned. They're still covered with paint, which is like a barrier to that natural element. One can still do tayammum on such a wall if there's dust on that. If there's dust on that paint, then one can do tayammum off of that. With no dust on the hospital wall or surrounded, there's two opinions. Either tap any wall or blanket and do tayammum, or one exempted from tayammum altogether and just proceeds right to salah. Both are educated ijtihad of ulama. Both are acceptable. It's a narrow dispute, and any which way you go on such a matter is acceptable, inshallah. And the proof on that is فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ وَاسْمَعُوا وَأَطِيعُوا وَأَنْفِقُوا خَيْرًا لِأَنفُسِكُمْ وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Keep your duty to Allah and fear Him as much as you can. But from this branches off another issue that the ulama discussed. This person who couldn't do the proper wudu or even the proper tayammum due to his condition and what's available, can he go above the fard essential salah and make other sunnah salahs as well? Can he make nafil salah? Can he do witr? There's difference of opinion on this, but a rajih selected opinion is what the Hanabila said, that one can pray sunnah and witr in addition to the fard salah. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah chose this opinion. They said this person can't be denied from making additional salah in addition to the fard salah, because he performed the tahara as best as he can in his situation. The people who said one can only do fard salah with such a tahara said that person isn't really on tahara, and he should not go beyond what's extremely necessary, which is the fard salah. They said because he's basically not even on tahara. The response is that denying that one can perform salah without tahara is when tahara is available. This person did all he's supposed to do and all he can do in such a circumstance. If the fard salah was accepted in that type of tahara, then the nafil is the same or even given more precedent in acceptance. The next mas'ala. Do you need niyyah for tayammum? Do you need intention? All four madhabs say you need niyyah, intention for tayammum. Even Hanafiya, who dispute niyyah in wudu, in water wudu, they agree here that you need it. So Al-Hanafiya, Al-Malikiyya, Al-Shafi'iyya, Al-Hanabila, Ibn Hazm said that you need niyyah for tayammum. Ibn Hubayra in Al-Ifsah said that there's an ijma' that one needs niyyah for tayammum. The hadith is clear. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions are by intention. And they said this is a ibadah, this is a worship, which is purification from impurity, and it needs a niyyah. As well as the other verse, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. They said sincerity is ordered in ibadah, and this is a ibadah here. And sincerity is a heart action, and it's intention. So you need intention here. The only one I know who said niyyah is not requested in tayammum is Zufar from the Hanafiya, from the Ahnaf. And his reason is the Ahnaf do not request niyyah in wudu. So out of the rest of all the Ahnaf, he said niyyah is not requested in tayammum either. The madhab of the Ahnaf distinguishes between the intention of wudu and tayammum. The overall madhab, they request niyyah in tayammum but not in wudu. The response to that is that you can't compare and do qiyas, analogy of tayammum on wudu, when intention about wudu is in itself disputed. Niyyah is required among the majority of the fuqaha from the three madhahib, Malikiyya, Shafi'iyya, and Hanabila. They request niyyah for wudu. The Ahnaf, the madhab, doesn't request niyyah for wudu. So you can't do qiyas, analogy, upon a disputed matter as a principle of usul. There's also differences between wudu and tayammum, and they can't be compared in such a matter, but that is lengthy and we don't want to get into it right now. Next mas'ala. How is tayammum performed? What parts do you wipe? Wiping of the face and hands is an obligation fard of tayammum. Because the verse is clear. فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ مِنْهُ. And there's many ahadith on that, but the verse is extremely clear. There's an ijma' related by Ibn Hazm and Ibn Qudama and Nawawi and Ibn Rajab and others on that matter. The proper way to do tayammum is to strike the ground with the palms, strike the sand, the soil, or whatever is acceptable from that which we mentioned, and we made the tarjih on, and then wipe the face and the hands one time. That's the madhab of the Hanabila and Ibn al-Mundhir and al-Shawkani and al-Shanqiti. The verse is clear. فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ مِنْهُ. In the hadith on that, one of the hadith on that, إِنَّمَا كَانَ يَكْفِيكَ هَكَذَا فَضَرَبَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ بِكَفَّيْهِ الْأَرْضِ وَنَفَخَ فِيهِمَا ثُمَّ مَسَحَ بِهِمَا وَجْهَهُ وَكَفَّيْهِ. In Sahih al-Bukhari, the Messenger said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, it would have been sufficient for you to do like this. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam struck the earth lightly with his hands, then blew off the dust, then passed his hands over his face and then his hands. All four madhahib and possibly an ijma' indicate that tayammum must encompass the entire face and the hands. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ. They must encompass the hands and face fully, like when you do wudu. They said tayammum takes the place of wudu. In wudu, one must encompass the parts specifically mentioned fully. And tayammum takes the place of wudu. And whatever takes the place of wudu takes the rulings of wudu, which means one must encompass the entire hands and face when wiping them for tayammum. In wudu, you have to wash everything of the face and hands, for example. In tayammum, it must encompass the entire face and hands. The next mas'ala. Is the order of the face and hands significant? If you look at both of the verses about tayammum in the Quran, in Surah Al-Ma'idah and in Surah Al-Nisa, فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ. That's in Surah Al-Nisa. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ مِنْهُ. Allah mentioned the face before the hands in those two verses and in other ahadith, so we should go by that order. The next mas'ala, al-muwala, succession. Al-muwala is a term in fiqh that means not to leave a gap or a pause between the acts of ibadah, more particularly for us here in wudu and tayammum. The standard for muwala and wudu is not to leave a gap long enough to let your wudu parts dry before going to the next. In tayammum and in using soil, there's no liquid. So how is that level of muwala measured? How is it determined? In tayammum, they said muwala is measured by not leaving a delay in wiping the next part, in equivalent of it not drying in wudu if you were to wash it. Meaning, guesstimate how long it would be before a body part dries. It depends whether it's sunny or not. Few minutes or so. Anything above that would be breaking the muwala in tayammum as well. The ulama dispute if it's sunnah or fard in tayammum. muwala, is it sunnah or fard in tayammum? The first opinion is muwala is sunnah. That's the madhab of the Ahnaf, the Shafi'iyya, and the Hanabila. And their proof is qiyas, analogy to wudu. They said muwala is a condition to wudu, and tayammum is the replacement of wudu, and it follows in that it adopts its rulings, the rulings of wudu. The replacement takes the ruling of what it replaced. The replacement is tayammum. It takes the ruling of what it replaced, which is wudu. Wudu needs muwala, so tayammum needs muwala as well. The second opinion said muwala is a fard, a wajib. That's the madhab of Malikiyya, some of the Hanabila, and Shafi'i in his old madhab. And they use the same reasoning, except they said it's wajib. Both opinions are very close and similar. One says it's sunnah, one it's wajib. Probably the second might be a little bit closer to being the rajih. At-tasmiyah fi tayammum. Tasmiyah is saying Bismillah before tayammum. And it's recommended according to the ulama before tayammum. And this is the opinion of the Hanafiyya, Shafi'iyya, and one of two opinions of the Hanabila, and one of two opinions of the Malikiyya. They said in Sahih al-Bukhari, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لو أن أحدكم إذا أتى أهله قال بسم الله. If any of you are about to have sexual relationship with their wives, they should say Bismillah before that. They said saying Bismillah is generally recommended before wudu and ibadat if it's recommended prior to sexual relationship. Bukhari has a chapter on saying Bismillah in all situations and even before relationship, meaning before sexual relationship. They said the most unusual or furthest time you would imagine to say Bismillah is before a sexual relationship. Yet it's recommended before such an act. So that means it should be mentioned before ibadat like tayammum as well. Some ulama also said it's sunnah for wudu. So that means it's also sunnah for the replacement of wudu, which is tayammum. The next mas'ala. One is recommended to start with his right hand in tayammum. The hadith that's agreed upon in Bukhari and Muslim, ثُمَّ مَسَحَ الشِّمَالَ عَلَى الْيَمِينِ وَظَاهِرَ كَفَّيْهِ وَوَجْهَهُ. The next mas'ala is, should one blow the dust off his hands after he strikes the soil or dirt? According to the Hanafiyya, Malikiyya, and the Shafi'i in his old madhab, and one of two opinions of Imam Ahmad, is one should lessen the dirt that attaches to the hands after striking the soil by blowing in the hands after he strikes the earth. According to Hanabila and Shafi'iyya, it's only if the soil that sticks to the hand is a lot. And if it's not a lot, or you blow it all away, one should not do that. There's a clear hadith on blowing after hitting the earth, and that's the hadith that we mentioned earlier, إِنَّمَا كَانَ يَكْفِيكَ هَكَذَا فَضَرَبَ النَّبِيُّ صلى الله عليه وسلم بكفيه الأرض وَنَفَخَ فِيهِمَا ثُمَّ مَسَحَ بِهِمَا وَجْهَهُ وَكَفَّيْهِ. In Sahih Bukhari, would have been sufficient for you to do this. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam struck the earth with his hands, then blew off the dust, then passed his hands over his face and hands. The second opinion is that it's disliked to blow the soil off the hands, and that's one of the two opinions by Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala. Their proof is that Ibn Umar, when he did tayammum, he didn't blow. He didn't blow in his hands after he hit the earth, after he struck the earth. He did not. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma didn't blow in his hands. The rajih or the selected opinion is that it's permissible or even mustahab to blow in the hands because of the hadith and because lessening the soil spares the face from excessive dirt sticking on it. As to the narration of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, if it's authentic and it's in Musannaf Abd al-Razzaq, it's mawquf, meaning it's the action of the Sahabi radiallahu ta'ala an. And there's a clear authentic hadith that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam blew in his hands after striking the earth. So the act of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the authentic hadith is given precedence over the act of a sahabi. That's if it's even authentic. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.